The hammer's echo shattered the lazy Sunday afternoon like a gunshot in a library, each nail driven home into what used to be my quiet slice of green. I froze on my porch steps, coffee mug trembling in my hand, as the fresh-cut lumber framed a squat, ugly shed encroaching 6 inches onto my side of the property line, the one I'd measured obsessively after last summer's fence war. "What the hell?" I muttered, my voice lost in the metallic clang. But inside, a storm was brewing, the kind that had simmered since I moved to this cookie-cutter suburb 2 years ago, chasing the American dream only to find it laced with busybody barbs. Across the yard, she straightened up Karen, queen of the HOA board, her blonde bob impeccable even under a wide-brimmed sun hat, sweat beading on her Botox-smooth forehead like forbidden dew. "Samuel," she called, waving a gloved hand as if greeting a neighbor at a block party, not the architect of my latest nightmare. "Isn't it fabulous? We're reclaiming shared space for the community garden. Your plot's perfect for the compost bin." I set my mug down hard enough to slosh dark roast across the welcome mat, the bitterness mirroring the knot in my gut. Shared space? This woman had spent months citing me for non-compliant lawn edging, fining me for a rainbow flag on my mailbox that distracted from neighborhood harmony. And now she was colonizing my backyard like it was Manifest Destiny 2.0. As I stormed toward the fence, phone already dialing the non-emergency line, I couldn't shake the irony. Here I was, a black gay man in lily-white Willow Creek, fighting for my patch of earth, when all I wanted was to plant roots without someone uprooting them. The officer arrived faster than I'd expected. 20 minutes. Tops, his cruiser nosing into my driveway like a reluctant guest at a family reunion. I met him at the gate, heart pounding not just from the intrusion but from the eyes now peering from every curtain window on the block. Willow Creek wasn't built for spectacles. It thrived on whispers and passive-aggressive notes slipped under doors. "Officer Ramirez," he introduced himself, notepad in hand, his uniform crisp against the humid July air. "You reported a property dispute?" I pointed to the shed, its raw pine sides gleaming mockingly under the sun, tools scattered like battlefield debris. "That's on my land." "Survey says so. Right here." I thrust the crumpled printout at him, my fingers smudged with yesterday's soil from tending the tomatoes I'd coaxed into this defiant row along the border. Karen emerged from her side, arms crossed over her pastel polo, flanked by her husband, a balding accountant type who looked like he'd rather be crunching numbers than crunching gravel under his loafers. "It's communal," she insisted, her voice pitching up like a poorly tuned violin. "The HOA bylaws, Article 7, Section 3, designate peripheral yards for shared amenities. We've got minutes from the last meeting approving it." Ramirez flipped through his notepad, then eyed the shed's footprint, pulling out a measuring tape that unspooled with a snap. Karen's smile faltered as he marked the inches, confirming my claim. "Ma'am, this crosses the line by a good foot. Without written consent from the owner, that's trespassing." Her face flushed the color of her prized azaleas. "Trespassing? This is for the greater good. Samuel's always hoarding his space. Those vegetables of his aren't even native plants." The word hung there, laced with the unspoken. Not like us. Not fitting the Willow Creek mold of manicured Bermuda grass and flagstone patios. Ramirez cleared his throat, professional as ever. "We'll need to file a report. Possible misdemeanor if tools were used without permission." Karen sputtered, her husband murmuring about lawyers, but as the cuffs clicked, "Provisional," he assured her. "Pending review." I felt a hollow victory twist in my chest. By evening, The neighborhood Facebook group was ablaze. HOA tyranny strikes back? One post read, with a blurry photo of the shed half-built. Karen's silhouette mid-hammer. Comments poured in. Support from the young families tired of her reign. Shade from her loyalists calling it a misunderstanding. I scrolled from my kitchen table. The screen's glow casting shadows on the stack of unopened mail. Reminders from my therapist about setting boundaries. A postcard from my sister in Atlanta urging me to get back out there. Out where? After Marcus left last year. Ghosting me with a text about needing space. I'd sworn off the apps, the bars, the fragile hope of connection in a town that eyed my pride stickers like they were graffiti. A knock rattled the door. Sharp, insistent. I peered through the peephole. Not Karen, thank God, but a stranger. Tall, broad-shouldered, with tousled dark hair and a toolbox slung over one shoulder. He stood there in faded jeans and a Henley that hugged his frame just enough to stir something dormant in me. Hey, Samuel? I'm Anthony, from next door, over on Elm. Saw the circus today. Mind if I? He held up a six-pack of craft IPA, the labels glinting amber in the porch light. My pulse quickened. Willow Creek didn't do drop-ins, especially not from the guy I'd only nodded to during trash days. The one with the vintage Mustang in his drive and a laugh that carried over fences like contraband. I swung the door open, the cool air from inside mingling with the fireflies' hum outside. Beers and boundary violations? You're speaking my language. He grinned. That easy, lopsided smile cracking the tension like dawn through fog. We settled on the Adirondack chairs I'd salvaged from a garage sale, the shed looming in the yard like a bad tattoo. Anthony cracked a bottle, foam bubbling over his knuckles. Heard the whole saga from my office window. Karen's got a rap sheet longer than her rulebook. Find old Mrs. Hargrove for bird feeders last month. Called M. Vermin Attractors. He took a swig, eyes crinkling. But you, standing your ground? Respect. It was the first real conversation we'd had, though I'd noticed him before. The way he'd wave from his porch, sketching in a notebook while his dog, a lanky mutt named Scout, chased squirrels. Anthony was a graphic designer, freelance, the kind who worked odd hours and blasted indie folk from open windows. 38. Divorced, no. Widowed. He'd clarify later, his voice softening like worn leather. Wife lost to cancer 3 years back. Left me with Scout and a mortgage, he'd say. But tonight, it was just stories. His first tattoo in a dingy Philly parlor. My disastrous attempt at urban farming in Brooklyn before fleeing to suburbia's false promise. As the bottles emptied, the talk turned personal, the fireflies weaving halos around us. Why stay here? He asked, leaning forward, elbows on knees. After Marcus, town's not exactly waving rainbow flags. I shrugged, tracing the label's peel on my bottle. Roots, I guess, or stubbornness. Grew up in foster homes, Chicago. Mostly. Learned early you fight for your square foot, or someone takes it. His gaze held mine. Steady, no pity, just understanding that bloomed warm in the cooling night. Well, he said, clinking his bottle to mine, if anyone's claiming shared space, let it be us. Beers on the porch. At least, that night, as I lay in bed listening to cricket's chorus, the shed's shadow no longer felt like an invasion. Felt like the start of something, tentative, uncharted, but alive. The next morning dawned sticky, the kind of heat that clings like regret. I woke to my phone buzzing. A text from an unknown number. Anthony. Scout stole my sock again. Fancy a walk? Neutral territory, park on Oak. I smiled despite the knot of caution Marcus had left tangled in me. Neutral territory sounded safe. Sane. I replied with a thumbs up, threw on running shorts and a tank that showed the faded ink of my shoulder tattoo. A compass rose, inked after my first foster placement fell through. Direction, the artist had said. If only. The park was a sliver of wild in Willow Creek's grid. Oaks draping over a gravel path, a pond where mallards quacked indulgently. Anthony waited by the benches, Scout tugging at a frayed tennis ball. His owner's flannel rolled to elbows, revealing forearms dusted with hair and faint scars from who knows what. Morning, neighbor, he called, falling into step as I approached. Scout bounded over, slobbering a greeting on my sneakers. We looped the trail, talk flowing easy, his love for vinyl records, my obsession with jazz quartets from the 60s. Coltrane? He guessed, and I laughed, surprised. Monk, actually. Thelonious. Chaos with heart. Halfway around, we paused at the water's edge, skipping stones while Scout splashed. Anthony's throw skipped 4 times, rippling out in perfect verses. Wife taught me that, he said, voice casual but edged. Before. You know, the pause stretched, not uncomfortable, but heavy with the unsaid. I nodded, skipping my own 2 bounces. Plunk. Marcus hated water. Said it reminded him of drowning in expectations. Family, job, all that. Anthony turned, stone in hand, his eyes searching mine like he was mapping uncharted land. Sounds like he drowned himself, then. Leaving you to bail water alone. The words landed soft but true, stirring silt from the bottom of me. I looked away, toward the ducks gliding serene. Yeah. Texted space and vanished to Seattle. Last I heard, he's engaged to some tech bro. Anthony tossed his stone, watching it sink. Space is overrated. I'd rather build something solid. Like that shed, minus the drama. We chuckled, the moment lightning, but as we walked back, his shoulder brushed mine, a spark in the humidity. Not pushing, just there. Potential. Back home, the yard greeted me with normalcy. Tomatoes ripening defiant, the shed now cordoned with yellow tape courtesy of Ramirez's follow-up. A note fluttered on my door, from the HO, typed in terse, temporary injunction pending hearing. Community cohesion paramount. I crumpled it, but the anger fizzled quick. Instead, I texted Anthony. Dinner? My treat. Veggie stir-fry from the hoarded plot. His reply pinged instant. Only if you let me bring dessert. And Scout stays home. That evening, as I chopped bell peppers to the sizzle of garlic in olive oil, the doorbell chimed. Anthony stood there, pie tin in hands, apple, lattice crust golden, and a bottle of red under his arm. Store-bought, but heartfelt, he grinned, stepping in as if he'd mapped the layout in his mind. My kitchen was small, lived in, herbs drying on the windowsill, a Coltrane poster peeling at the edges. He set the pie down, surveying with approval. Smells like home. My abuela's kitchen, sancocho on Sundays. We ate at the scarred oak table I'd inherited from a thrift shop, plates steaming, wine loosening tongues. Stories spilled. His childhood in South Philly, dodging hydrants and dreaming of art school. my circuit of group homes, finding solace in library books and stolen sketches. Drew my first crush like that, I admitted, cheeks warming from Merlot. Boy from the next block, skinny kid with freckles. Got caught passing the note. Anthony leaned in. Fork paused midair. What happened? Nothing. But it stuck, the fear, the thrill. His gaze held, intense yet gentle. Thrills worth chasing, Samuel. Fear's just the gatekeeper. After we cleared plates, hands brushing at the sink, accidental, then not. He dried what I washed, our rhythm syncing like an old duet. Thanks for this, he murmured, towel slung over shoulder. Been a while since. Company felt right. I turned, water dripping from my fingers, close enough to catch the faint cedar of his cologne. Stay, I said, voice low. Not a plea, but an invitation. He did for coffee on the couch. Monk's keys dancing from the speakers, our knees touching as the night deepened. No rush, no labels. Just two men, carving space in the quiet. Weeks blurred into a rhythm I hadn't known I craved. Mornings with Anthony's texts, coffee run, escalating to shared jogs along the creek trail, Scout bounding between us like a furry chaperone. Willow Creek began to feel less like a cage, more like a canvas. Its picket fences framing stolen glances, its cul-de-sacs curving toward possibility. Karen's shed hearing loomed on the calendar. But even that faded against the pull of Anthony's laugh. The way he'd sketch me absently during porch beers, charcoal smudging his thumb as he captured the tilt of my jaw. One crisp October Saturday, he invited me to his place, first time crossing that threshold. His house mirrored mine in blueprint but diverged in soul. Walls alive with framed posters from his travels, a sun-bleached Rome Colosseum, misty Scottish Highlands, bookshelves groaning under graphic novels and photography tomes. Scout greeted us at the door, tail wagging fury, while Anthony led me to the backyard, a sanctuary of raised beds bursting with kale and herbs, fairy lights strung lazy across the pergola. Built this last spring, he said, pride edging his voice. Therapy, sort of. After Elena, we grilled eggplant and zucchini, the sizzle mingling with jazz from a portable speaker. Ella Fitzgerald this time, her scat a velvet ribbon through the air. As dusk painted the sky bruise purple, we ate cross-legged on a blanket, plates balanced on knees. Tell me about her, I ventured, the wine emboldening me. Anthony's fork stilled, eyes distant on the horizon. Artist, like me. Met in college, her with oils, me with ink. Taught me color, chaos. Cancer took her quick, though. Stage 4, they said. Left me grayscale for a year. His vulnerability hung there, raw as exposed root. I reached, tentative, lacing fingers with his, calloused from pencils, warm against my palm. Grayscale suits you, I whispered. Makes the color hit harder. He turned, thumb tracing my knuckle, and in that gaze, I saw it. Not pity's shadow, but partnership's spark. We kissed then, slow as autumn's fall, lips tentative, then sure, tasting of Merlot and mint. His hand cupped my neck, pulling me closer, the world narrowing to heartbeat and breath. No firestorm, just hearth glow, affirming, alive. From there, deepened. Weeknights became hours, him sketching at my table while I prepped lesson plans. I taught 8th grade history at the local middle school. molding young minds on civil rights and forgotten revolutions. He'd interrupt with a doodle, me as a revolutionary, tricorn hat askew, sword labeled wit. I'd retaliate with burnt toast and exaggerated apologies, ending in laughter that echoed off walls once silent. Sex, not yet, boundaries honored, bodies mapping slower than hearts. But touches lingered. His foot hooking mine under diner booths, my head on his shoulder during movie nights, Coltrane's saxophone weaving through the credits. Karen's shadow resurfaced at the hearing, a sterile community center room smelling of stale coffee and bureaucracy. I sat front row, Anthony beside me, his knee a steady anchor against mine under the folding table. She took the stand, perched like a falcon, her lawyer, a slick suit from the city, brandishing bylaws like holy writ. Mr. Hayes has willfully obstructed community progress, she declared, voice slicing the murmur. His personal aesthetics disrupt harmony. The dig landed, my rainbow flag, now joined by a Black Lives Matter sign after the summer's protests. But the judge, a no-nonsense woman with silver streaks, peered over her glasses. Evidence piled, my survey, Ramirez's affidavit, photos time-stamped. Anthony squeezed my hand when Karen claimed shared space as divine right, her eyes flicking to me with venom masked as virtue. This isn't about a shed, her lawyer pivoted. It's about compliance. Mr. Hayes' lifestyle choices. Objection. My attorney pro bono from the local LGBTQ center shot up. Irrelevant and prejudicial, the judge sustained, but the room's chill deepened, whispers rustling like dry leaves. When the gavel fell, demolition ordered, fines levied on the association, Karen's glare could curdle milk. Outside, reporters milled, local news sniffing drama, and Anthony pulled me into a side hug, murmuring, "You slayed, Sam." Like Harriet Tubman with a tape measure, victory tasted bittersweet, though. That night, over takeout tie on my couch, Anthony's phone lit up. A call from his ex's sister, checking in on Scout's vet records. He stepped out to the porch, voice low, returning with shadows under his eyes. Family stuff, he waved off, but I pressed gentle. She wants custody, joint, technically. Says I'm distracted since. Us. The word hung, new and fragile. I set my pad tie down. Are you? He searched my face, then pulled me close. Distracted? Hell, Sam, you're the focus. But grief's a thief, steals clarity sometimes. We talked till midnight, unraveling threads, his guilt over moving on, my fear of being the rebound. By dawn, tangled in sheets for the first time, bodies aligning soft, exploratory, we wove stronger. This is real, he whispered against my temple. Us. Winter crept in, frosting windows and tempers. Holiday lights twinkled judgmental from neighbors' roofs, but ours glowed warmer. A menorah on my sill, Anthony's nod to his Jewish roots. A modest tree strung with ornaments he'd carved. Tiny compasses, echoing my tattoo. We hosted a solstice dinner, just us and Scout, toasting to new paths, but cracks spidered subtle. Anthony's late nights at freelance gigs, my grading marathons leaving texts unread. Then, the letter arrived, HOA appeal, Karen's last gasp, subpoenaing character witnesses. The hearing redux was uglier, held in the same room but charged like a storm front. Karen's allies testified. The widow who'd felt uncomfortable at my block party, I'd played RuPaul remixes. The dad who'd worried about influences on his kids after spotting Anthony and me walking hand in brush. Anthony testified for me. Voice steady. Samuel's the heart of this block. Fights for fairness. Grows food for the food bank. That's community. His words anchored me. But as we left, a photographer snapped us, arm in arm, defiant, and by morning, it splashed online. HOA hero or homewrecker? Gay couple clashes with Karen. Backlash hit like sleet. Eggs on my windshield. Go back to the city scrawled on my mailbox. Anthony's inbox flooded. Clients pulling gigs. Whispers of distraction. We hunkered down, fortifying with inside jokes and shared blankets. But doubt seeded. One night, after a canceled dinner, his deadline, I found him on the porch, staring at Elena's photo on his phone. What if they're right? He muttered. What if I'm dragging you into my mess? I knelt before him, hands on his knees. Mess? This is life. And ours. He pulled me up, kiss fierce, but the seed took root. Spring thawed the ground, but not the frost in Willow Creek's veins. Anthony's freelance dried to a trickle. Restructuring, clients emailed, code for discomfort, and he took a part-time gig at the local print shop, collating flyers for real estate open houses that screamed, family-friendly. I doubled shifts at school, tutoring after hours for extra cash. Our dates shrinking to hurried coffees or dog walks where conversation skirted the strain. Still, moments pierced. Him surprising me with seedlings for my plot, labeled Future Us in Sharpie. Me leaving jazz playlists on his dash. Monk's quirks mirroring our bends. Karen's appeal crumbled in April. The judge dismissing it as vexatious litigation, slapping her with court costs. She sold her house weeks later, sign in the yard, moving to Florida for retirement. But not before a final note. Slipped under my door. You'll regret this. Harmony breaks when foundations crack. Poetic, venomous. Anthony burned it in the backyard fire pit. Flames licking the paper as we roasted marshmallows. Scout nosing for scraps. To ashes, he toasted, but his eyes held ash of their own. We planned a getaway, nothing grand, just a weekend in the Poconos, cabin with a view of the falls. Reset, he called it, packing his sketchpad and my Coltrane vinyl. The drive up was therapy, windows down, Ella crooning, his hand on my thigh steady as the roads curve. The cabin nestled in pines, wood smoke scented, with a deck overlooking mist-shrouded water. We hiked first, boots crunching leaf litter, Scout off-leash for once, chasing phantom rabbits. At the overlook, Anthony pulled a thermos of spiked cider, wrapping me in his jacket against the chill. Remember that first beer? He asked, steam curling from the cup. Felt like stealing fire. I leaned into him, the fall's roar drowning doubts. Stole my heart. 2. We made love that night. Properly, unhurried. Fire crackling in the hearth. Bodies learning like Braille. His touches mapped scars. The appendix slice from Foster flu. The emotional welts Marcus left. Mine traced his. Faded wedding band tan line. Laugh lines etched deep. Dawn found us tangled. Birdsong filtering through cracks. Promise thick as the quilts. Back in Willow Creek. Reality reasserted. A package waited on my porch. Not mail, but a manila envelope. Anonymous. Inside, printouts from the hearing photos, circled with red marker. Headlines clipped from rags. Suburban scandal. Couples clash exposes. Woke agenda. Tucked in. A photo of Anthony and Elena. Wedding day bliss. Annotated before the corruption. My stomach soured. I showed him that evening, over lukewarm pizza. He scanned it, face paling. Trolling. Karen's ghost squad. But it gnawed. Days later, his phone rang during dinner, ex-sister-in-law again. Voice audible through the speaker. Tony, Elena's parents saw the article. They're concerned. About Scout. About you moving so fast. He hung up mid-sentence. Jaw tight. They're grasping, he said, but the seed from winter sprouted thorns. Our talks turned tentative. Are we rushing? I'd ask. Is this fair to her memory? He'd counter. Intimacy waned, not cold, but cautious, like walking cracked ice. Then, the betrayal blindsided. May bloomed hot, school year winding down with talent shows and field days. I came home early, craving Anthony's arms after a brutal parent-teacher conference. A dad griping my diversity units were indoctrination. His truck was in the drive, unusual mid-afternoon. I let myself in with the spare key we'd exchanged. Calling soft. Aunt? Surprise grating bailout. Whine and unwind. Silence. Then voices from the bedroom. Low. Murmured. My heart jackhammered as I crept down the hall. Door ajar. Anthony sat on the bed's edge. Phone to ear. But it was the other voice, his ex-sister-in-law. On speaker, no, a man's, tenor-edged, familiar from stories. I miss you, Tony. That photo. It's like high school, but real. Come to Philly? We can talk, really talk. I froze, shadow pooling at my feet. Anthony's reply cracked me open. Josh. God, I don't know. Sam's great, but it's complicated. Elena would have wanted me happy, right? But this town, this life, feels like acting. Josh, college friend, the one who'd drifted post-wedding, now circling back with timing surgical. Anthony's laugh. Bitter. Yeah, laugh it off. But what if? I backed away, silent as smoke, fleeing to my truck before tears blurred the wheel. Betrayal wasn't fists or lies outright. It was this, the fracture line exposed, love teetering on what if. I drove aimlessly, ending at the creek trail, collapsing on our bench, sobs racking till dusk bled red. Phone buzzed, his texts. Where are you? Scouts pacing. I silenced it, the pain a live wire. He found me at midnight, headlights sweeping the lot. Sam. He dropped beside me, voice wrecked. Overheard? Shit. I nodded, numb. Complicated. That's code for exit stage left. He reached, but I flinched. Josh is. Old ghost. Panics when things get real. Called after the article, stirring doubt. But I shut it down, told him no. Proof spilled. Call log. Ended abrupt. You're not complicated, Sam. You're home. We talked till stars wheeled. Raw as flayed skin. His fear of loving again. Tainting Elena's legacy. My terror of being the interlude, not the verse. Dawn pinked the sky as forgiveness tentatively bloomed. Fight for this, I whispered. Or let go clean. He pulled me close. Vow in his grip. Fighting. Summer scorched in. Testing resolve. We rebuilt deliberate therapy sessions, his for grief, mine for attachment scars, joint for us. Date nights enforced, no phones, just presence. The garden thrived. his kale in my beds, shared harvest for salads that tasted of sweat and second chances. But Willow Creek whispered, stares at the grocery, a slashed tire traced to unknown vandals. Anthony's gig stabilized, but tension lingered, a low hum. Then, the call that appended, my sister, from Atlanta. Mom's sick, Sam. Bad lungs. Come home. Mom, not blood, but the foster who'd lasted longest. The one who'd baked cornbread and hidden my first boyfriend's visits. I booked a flight, Anthony insisting on driving me to the airport. Go heal, he said, kiss lingering at security. I'll hold the fort. Georgia enveloped me in humidity and heartache. Mom frail in her shotgun house, oxygen tank hissing like accusation. Proud of you, baby, she wheezed, gripping my hand. That man, Anthony? Sounds solid. I nodded, throat tight, but miles bred doubt. Text from him. Scout misses you. Gardens exploding. Calls nightly. Voice anchor. Yet, in the quiet hospital waits, Marcus's ghost texted, saw your story. Miss the real you. Delete. Block. But the fracture ached. Atlanta's heat wave broke with thunderstorms, mirroring the tumult in Mom's room. Beeps escalating, doctors murmuring palliative. Anthony flew down unannounced, landing mid-crisis, his presence a buoy in the flood. Couldn't let you solo this, he said, hugging me fierce in the airport haze. We tag-teamed. Him charming nurses with sketches of Scout as superhero, me holding Mom's hand through morphine dreams. He's a keeper, she rasped one lucid afternoon, eyes twinkling faint. Don't let fear fence him out. Her passing came gentle, a Sunday exhale as rain pattered tin roof. Funeral was small, church pews half full, gospel choir lifting her spirit skyward. Anthony stood sentinel, arm around me during the eulogy, his whisper steady. She's free, Sam. Like you will be. Grief hollowed me, but his solidity filled cracks. Nights on her sagging couch, bodies entwined silent, no words needed. Back in Willow Creek, summer waned sticky, the house echoing empty. We dove into projects, repainting my kitchen sage green, his touch in every brushstroke, joint runs turning marathon length, breaths sinking like vows. Romance rekindled playful, picnics by the creek, where he'd feed me strawberries, juice staining lips for kisses that tasted eternal. Love you, slipped out one twilight, his words casual as the breeze. I froze, then echoed, love you too, no fanfare, just truth, rooting deep. But conflict brewed subterranean. Anthony's ex-family escalated, emails demanding Scout's stability assessment, veiled threats of custody if he persisted in instability. He confided over coffee, voice edged steel. They're weaponizing Elena, saying I'm dishonoring her with us. Rage flared in me, not at him, but the machine grinding love to guilt. Fight dirty if they do, I urged. Or let Scout decide, he picks you every time. The climax crested in September, leaves turning trader gold. Karen's replacement on the HOA board, a mild-mannered retiree named Mr. Patel, called a unity picnic, ostensibly to heal divides. We went, leery, potluck tables groaning under casseroles, kids chasing frisbees on the green. Anthony manned the grill, flipping burgers with flair, while I chatted civilities, rainbow pin glinting defiant on my collar. Whispers swirled, but Patel pulled me aside, Heard about the shed saga. Admire your stand. Reminds me of back home. Fighting for land in Gujarat. Warmth thawed suspicion. But as dusk fell, a shadow detached from the crowd. Josh, Anthony's ghost. In chinos and a button-down too crisp for Willow Creek. Tony invited me, he said. Smile sharp. Old times sake. Anthony's face drained. Spatula clattering. Josh, what the? I said no. But there it was. A text chain I'd glimpsed earlier. Harmless catch-up. Now flesh. The picnic curdled. Josh cornered Anthony by the cooler. Voice low but carrying. This suburb charade? Come on. We're both running from real life. I approached. Heart thunder. Real life's here. Josh. Burgers and all. He smirked, eyeing my pin. Cute. But Tony needs space to breathe, not this picket fence prison. Anthony stepped between. Jaw set. Leave. Now. Sam's not prison. He's home. Josh laughed. Cruel. Home? After Elena. You said forever. Now this rebound act. The word detonated. Anthony recoiled. Then surged. Get out. Fists clenched. But no swing, Patel intervening, ushering Josh to his sedan. The crowd dispersed awkward. But damage lingered. Eyes on us. Judgments unspoken. That night, storm broke. Not rain, but reckoning. Anthony paced my living room, Scout whining at his heels. He ambushed. I blocked him weeks ago, swear. I nodded, but hurt festered. Why invite at all? Even harmless? He sank to the rug, head in hands. Doubt, Sam. After Mom, the threats. Thought talking closure might quiet it. Stupid. Tears tracked his cheeks. Rare vulnerability cracking wide. Afraid I'm breaking us. Like I broke. Everything after her. I knelt, cupping his face. You're not breaking. We're bending stronger for it. But the fight spilled. My accusations of half-truths. His of my walls, post-Marcus flinches. Words sharpened. If you want out, say it, I yelled. Better than ghosts. He roared back. Ghosts? You're blind to yours. Pushing till I crack. Silence crashed. Breaths ragged. Then, his collapse. Arms around my waist. Sobs muffled in my shirt. Don't leave. Please. We clung. Storm raging outside. Mending in the wreckage. Dawn brought clarity. Therapy ramp up. Boundaries etched. No ex-contact. Full transparency. Love, we learned, wasn't flawless. It was forge fire, hammering flaws to fit. Fall deepened, colors defiant. We volunteered at the food bank. My tomatoes feeding lines that snaked the block. Anthony designing flyers that drew doubles. Willow Creek shifted subtle. Patel's board nixing fining for flags. A kid at school confiding his crush on his best friend. Our love mirrored public now. Hands linked at the diner. Kisses stolen on porches. But betrayal's echo whispered. Trust. Fragile as frost. One crisp November eve. Anthony proposed, not ring, but sketch. Us on a porch swing. Scout at feet. Horizon open. Build with me. Pencil lines trembled slight. I traced them, tears pricking. Yes. But real build, house. Life. All. He grinned, pulling me up. Deal. Starting with that shed. Turn it to a studio. Our shared space. Winter wrapped Willow Creek in hush. snow blanketing sins and secrets alike. Anthony and I tackled the shed. Demo day a catharsis. Hammers swinging in tandem. Splinters flying like confetti at a divorce party. We reframed it into a sunlit studio. Walls lined with pegboards for his tools. A corner for my lesson planning desk. Windows framing the garden's dormant promise. Ours, he inscribed on a beam. Chisel marks deep as vows. Inside, we christened it with takeout and blueprints. Dream houses sketched on napkins. Locations pinned. Maybe Philly burbs. Or Atlanta outskirts. Roots twining flexible. But peace proved provisional. Christmas loomed. Fraught with ghosts. Anthony's family summoned. Elena's parents. Neutral ground in a Jersey diner. Scout's fate on the menu. Go, I urged, kissing him at dawn. Close the chapter. He returned hollow-eyed. Takeout bags untouched. They want supervised visits. Called us phase. Rage boiled in me, but he waved it off. Phase? Nah. We're epic. Yet, the word lingered, a splinter under skin. My own holidays fractured. Sister's call. Voice brittle. Auntie's asking, why no ring yet? Town talk says you're unsettled. Unsettled code for the picnic fallout. Josh's shadow splashed in local rags. I defended, love's not ledgered, but doubt crept, cold as the draft under doors. New Year dawned with resolve. A pact, sealed over champagne on the studio floor. Transparency tattoos, Anthony joked, inking a temporary open book on his forearm with marker. Mine, no ghosts. Laughter bridged the chill. But January bit harder, his print shop hours cut. My school facing budget slashes. Threat of layoffs looming. Bills stacked. Romance rationed to ramen dates and bundled walks. Scouts paws crunching crust. Then, the gut punch. A letter from Josh's lawyer. Forwarded anonymous. Cease harassment. Tony's confusion exploited. Harassment? We'd never. But enclosed. Screenshots of Anthony's old emails. Post Elena despair. Can't breathe here. Philly? You and me. Like before? Before Elena. Implied the bicuriosity they'd buried young. Anthony confessed. Voice ash. Experiment. College. Buried deep. He twisted it. Says I'm using you to perform straight-washed love. Betrayal's second wave crashed. Title. Using. Echoed. Pacing the kitchen. Coltrane mocking from the speakers. Or hiding. He reached. Desperate. Hiding from pain. Not you. Josh prayed after the threats. He DM'd. I understand. I vented. Stupid. But shut it. Swear. Proof again. Blocks. Deletes. But trust frayed. Threads pulling. How do I know? I whispered. That this, us, isn't performance? He shattered then. Knees buckling. Because I wake terrified you'll leave. Every day. Because Elena's photo stays packed. Honor. Not haunt. Because you, Sam, you're the color I choose. We argued fierce, accusations flying, tears scalding till exhaustion claimed us, curled fetal on the rug. Morning brought armistice, couples counseling. Weekly, the therapist a sage queer elder with stories of her own fractures mended. Spring stirred renewal, tentative. The studio bloomed. Anthony's commissions trickling, book covers for indie presses, vibrant as our patched hope. My layoff dodged by a hair, classes merged but intact. We gardened weekends, hands soil black, planting perennials, hostas for shade, lavender for luck. Roots, he said, patting earth. The kind that weather storms, yet climax coiled unseen. May's warmth brought Karen's echo, her Florida house sold, but a proxy stirred. The HOA's new bylaw draft. Leaked draft banning divisive displays. Read flags, signs. Patel fought it, but votes teetered. At the town hall, packed shoulder to sweat, Anthony and I spoke tandem, him on creativity's chokehold, me on history's erasure. This town's foundation? Immigrants, outcasts like us. Build inclusive, or crumble exclusive. Applause rippled, but opposition snarled. A voice from back. Anonymous, go preach in the city. Keep your agenda off our lawns. Post-meeting, adrenaline crash. We walked home silent, tension electric. At my door, it ignited not anger, but ache. Agenda, Anthony echoed, pinning me gentle to the frame. Our love's no agenda, its anthem. Kiss stormed then, urgent, pouring doubt to dust. Inside, we reclaimed bodies fervent, reaffirming what words fumbled. After tangled sheets, he traced my compass tattoo. Directions you, Sam. Always, but fate twisted cruel. June's solstice eve. Scout fell ill sudden, seizures rattling his frame. Vet dash. Anthony white-knuckled on the wheel, me cradling the mutt's head. Hold on. Boy, I murmured, tears salting fur. Diagnosis, tumor, inoperable. Weeks, maybe, the doc said soft. Anthony crumpled in the waiting room, sobs seismic. He was her last gift, kept me tethered. I held him, heart-rending, love's cost, layered. We brought Scout home, hospice in the yard, blankets under oaks. His tail thumps weakening. Anthony sketched him daily, portraits capturing spirit's spark. I cooked favorites, peanut butter treats, walks shortened to porch sits. As summer peaked, Scout slipped quiet, Anthony's wail echoing into night. Burial under the studio window, marker simple, loyal heart, 2018 to 2025. Grief bonded us tighter, Elena's ghost joining Scout's, honored, not haunting. Through it, love deepened human, flaws forgiven, strength scaffold. Willow Creek watched, some thawing, a neighbor dropping pie, sorry for the eggs, others, stone. But we stood, unbowed. Autumn gilded Willow Creek once more, leaves a mosaic underfoot as we navigated new normal. Scout's absence echoed, leash hooks bare, yard too quiet, but Anthony channeled it. A graphic novel pitch, pause and promises, semi-autobio of loss and love's leap. Publishers nibbled, his spark reigniting. 2. Bloomed school year starting with a new unit on queer icons. Students wide-eyed at Bayard Rustin's marches. He fought seen and unseen. I told them. Anthony's sketch of him pinned to the board. Betrayal scars faded to silver. Josh's suit dropped. Exposed as bluff when Anthony countersued for harassment. Settled quiet, but vindicating. Elena's family relented. Visits unsupervised. A tentative olive branch at Thanksgiving. Her mom's pie, awkward but thawing. She'd like him, she told Anthony, nodding my way. Strong roots. Our high point crested in October. The studio's housewarming. Small circle, Patel and wife with curry. My sister video calling from Atlanta. Therapist toasting to Ben's. Not breaks. Laughter filled the space. Jazz underscoring. Anthony's arm heavy warm around my waist. To shared space, he murmured. Clinking glasses. Later, alone on the deck. Stars pricking velvet. He knelt, not dramatic, but deliberate ring box velvet. Simple band etched with compass points. Marry me, Sam? Not perfect, but perfectly us. Tears blurred gold glint. Yes. 1,000 times. Kiss sealed. Future unfurling. Vows in spring. Maybe courthouse simple. Reception in the garden. Human, not Hollywood. Love as daily grace. Not grand gesture. Yet, drama's tale lashed one last. Winter's Eve. Snow dusting the studio. Anthony's book deal landed. Advance enough for down payment. Dreams dialogued. But a call fractured joy. My sister's voice. Urgent. Sam, job offer here. History chair at Spelman. For you. They saw your article on the HOA fight. Suburban resistance. Temptation tugged. Atlanta's pulse. Family net. Escape from Willow Creek's lingering chill. Think, she urged. Bigger stage. I wait at nights. Anthony's snores soft beside. Tell him, risk fracture? Dawn after dawn. I buried it, but guilt gnawed. Irony's bite. Me hiding now. Climax cracked Christmas morning. Unwrapping his gift. A vinyl of Monk's brilliant corners. Mine delayed. What's wrong? He pressed. Tree lights haloing worry. Confession tumbled. The offer. The pull. Not leaving you but roots calling. Ours or mine? His face shadowed. Then cleared. Pain transmuted to grace. Both. We choose together. Atlanta, closer to your sis. Diverse beat. Willow Creek, hard-won home. We talked marathon. Pros tabulated culture. Opportunity. Cons confronted uprooting gardens. Goodbyes. No ultimatums. Partnerships packed. Days blurred debate. Walks pondering paths. Resolution bloomed epiphany. Hybrid. I commute summers. Test waters offer deferred a year. Anthony pitched remote chapters. His book tour flexible. Bend. Don't break. He grinned. Echoing our therapist. Willow Creek stayed base. But Atlanta beckoned visits. Expanding horizon. Human triumph. Love not possessive, but propulsive, pushing growth. Not stasis. Spring wedding dawned perfect. Backyard arch twined roses and lavender. Patel officiating with Patel wisdom. Vows exchanged simple. I choose your chaos. Your color. Your compass. Rings slid. Cheers rose. Neighbors mingled with kin. Karen's ghost banished. Reception spilled joy. Jazz trio, Monk medley. Naturally. Cake layered apple for Anthony's nod to Elena. Dances barefoot in grass. His lead sure. My follow free. Years folded forward. Atlanta adjunct gig thriving. Anthony's novel shelved in indies nationwide. Sequel brewing with Scout-inspired sidekick. Willow Creek evolved. HOA rainbow bylaws. My tomatoes seeding community plots. Trials tempered us. Health scares, his knee. Post-hike. Career dips, my tenure chase. But bedrock held counseling check-ins. Date nights etched calendar. One anniversary. Studio porch swing creaking under us. Anthony sketched absently. Our hands laced. Rings catching light. Regrets? He asked, pencil pausing. I leaned, head on shoulder. None. You? His smile crinkled eyes. Just that I didn't find you sooner. Sunset bled gold. Fireflies winking approval. Love, we learned, isn't conquest, it's cultivation. Tilling soil, weathering weathers, harvesting what's sown. In Willow Creek's quiet heart, two men built not just a shed, but a sanctuary, shared space, fiercely claimed, eternally grown. Human, flawed, profound, the American dream, queered and true.